Justin, I haven't really been able to do an interview with you. I want to find out a little. You've been talking about Nebraska, so I want to find out a little bit about you. Obviously, I'm guessing you came from Nebraska.
Yeah, my family settled out into western Nebraska, the far northwest corner where South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska meet. And they went there in the late 1800s in the land rush, 1883. In search of go west and settle the ground, and we'll give you a kind of crazy bit like in today's time, they gave us a section of ground.
160 acres.
640 acres.
Oh, 640.
Yeah, a square mile. You got a square mile,
right.
And
my bad.
My grandparents or my great grandparents and their brothers, they all came and they settled next to each other and conglomerated, and that's kind of what. So my dad's the fourth generation to continue to live on the property. Raises it's a cow-calf operation, raises Black Angus cattle and farms winter wheat and alfalfa for the cows. And all I thought I was ever going to do was do that. I went to college at the University of Nebraska to be in the agronomy department. I just got to go get an ag degree, watch football, drink some beer for a few years, go back to the ranch like the generations before me. And turns out that the agronomy degree has the same requirements as a dental degree. And I took a little detour in dentistry. I'm a dentist by training, and a bit of a serial entrepreneur. And I'd been out here in '95. Was the first time that I did a lecture in San Francisco on a research topic that I'd done, and took a trip up here, and I stayed in a bed and breakfast on Langtree Road. I believe that I talked to the elder on the hill, Fritz Maytag, the other day, and he said that he thought that where I'd stayed had burnt in the fire, but I couldn't find it since we've been up here, but it's post-fire. But anyway, we toured around, and I believe that we wandered into Sheldon's place at that time, or something up there. I don't remember the names, but just loved it up here, and I always thought I'll return and retire in St. Helena someday, in the heart of the wine. And another friends of ours got us coming out to Bottle Rock for like 10 years.
Oh, so there it is.
Yeah, listen, I love Napa Valley. Been here countless times, over my career, and as an addict to Zillow, I'm looking through Zillow, and this property up here had this big price reduction one day, and we were out here Memorial Day of 22, and I was like, let's go up there and look at that. And like I said, already like I stood there and I was like, yeah, man, like
the deal was done already.
It was funny because my oldest son was with us, and my wife, who's not his mom, she's just like, what are we doing? And he just like looked at her and he goes, oh, he's buying this. and she's like, what do you mean? Like, we're not buying a vineyard up here. And
you said, son.
Yeah,
it was the cattle industry, and now you're in the wine industry.
Yeah, you might.
Farming to farming.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it is the farming. When I was here in '95, I went back. I was practicing back in my hometown, and I instantly went out to the University of Minnesota and talked to the cold grape growing.
Sure. Yeah. I'm very familiar with those folks.
I know. I'm trying to think of some of the old names, but you would know them for sure. Anyway, I lined up and I planted Norton and Chambourcine and Frontenac and.
Gotta have that Frontenac.
Yeah, and everybody said, you should plant 50, 100 plants, get used to it. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? I got thousands of acres here, so I planted 5 acres. And then Stu's laughing. A couple years later, I'm like literally telling everybody in the county, like, hey, come get your grapes for jam and jelly and whatever, and like make, because I was just making, some wine out of it. And one of my good friends, Kurt Rising, he helped me plant it, and he's like, maybe I ought to just like go through the process. So we became the third bonded winery in the state of Nebraska, and opened our doors in 2000, and eventually sold it to my winemaker. But it was amazing. Met some people along the way. A guy named Sam Sebastiani wandered through my tasting room one day, and I got another contact out here, and it's been great.
As I said in the beginning of the interview, I don't really want to get into anything too political because there is a lot of politics here, and I'm really wanting to illustrate Spring Mountain to visitors and how important it is to come here. A, because this is your living. B, because the wine is incredible. And C, because there is this history up here. But I'm going to start with you on this, Wes. If there was something in your ability to change in the wine business, what would that be?
What would I change in the wine business if there's one thing I could change? I think, again, we talked about we don't want to get too political, but I think having the whole valley come together to truly realize what we're all here for, and that is the love of farming, the love of hospitality, the love of creating something special that we can share, bring visitors to the valley, and sort of removing some of the barriers that make that more difficult than it needs to be. Would certainly make our lives easier, and it would certainly make it easier for us to welcome people to the valley in different levels of experiences, because at the end of the day, that is what we are all here for. And if we're hindered in sort of how we can give that experience and what experiences we can offer, it makes it more challenging for guests to come, and we know what that cycle creates.
Yeah. I'm going to zip over to Sheldon for this one.
Well, I'm sorry, but politics are heavy on my head. I'm about to go to court and do battle with the county and with the supervisors, and it doesn't look like I'm going to win.
I'm sorry to hear that. That just shouldn't be.
Nope, it shouldn't be, but I'm not the only one. It's county-wide, unfortunately.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't want to be the one bringing it up because it's not my area, but I wish you luck with that.
We love what we do. We love where we work. We love the people that are around us. I'm a lucky man and thankful for it.
Stu?
So the question is, if I could do anything, change anything, huh? Well, I suppose the one thing that I would like to see, or the concept of the bubble, is that we would be able to compete with other wine-growing communities in the country, in the world, on an even basis. So we're back to politics. And that is that in Napa County, we are prohibited from holding weddings. In Sonoma County, in Lake County, in Mendocino County, in Suisun County, in the Central Coast, all the way to Southern California, and in fact, the entire country, who grow grapes, whether they're vinifera grapes or American varietals, they can all hold weddings. And it's just an illustration of the burden that we have to climb over so that we can compete in the marketplace.
Why don't they let you have weddings?
Well, you'd have to ask them, because it makes no sense to us.
I'm not going to ask him because I don't want to talk to him.
Well, I don't want to talk to him anymore either. But there are those things, there's lots of different things like that. Tours and tastings, as an example. You can do tours and tastings in most of these other wine-growing regions without having to get a permit. And in Napa County, we're told we can only have so many visitors per day. Other people can have 1,000 or 2,000 visitors per day. Other wineries can have only 5 or 10 a day. It makes no sense. And I will say that the wine industry is the goose that laid the golden egg for Napa County. And all of the visitors who come here should have the opportunity to go wherever they want. But because of these limitations, they can only go to certain places, because otherwise the winery is in violation of their use permit. And it's just crazy. And while Sheldon is dealing with his deal, we're going to court with the county in federal court over just these kinds of issues.
Sure. Our listeners may recall the podcast we recorded probably 2 years ago, I guess. No, it's hard to believe it's been 2 years and this stuff drags on.
It does.
Justin, to you.
You know, I'm the new kid on the block. Like I only know a lot of these things from having to build a 22-foot road from the very beginning. You know, the property came with a use permit, and when you first started talking to people, it came with a use permit that had a pretty nice gallonage, and it came with a use permit that had visitation. And I didn't think too much about it, and everybody said, "Oh, that's really great." You know, a lot of people don't even have visitation. But the reality is, I came from a part of the country where, you know, I planted my 5 acres of vines, and I just planted them because it's my land and I can do with what I want. There isn't even actually a permit that I would have to get if I wanted to. You know, like my dad can plant whatever crops he wants and do the things. And to come here and to start to hear of the challenges that the others that are sitting next to me have had, you know, in their entire existence it's not right. And it doesn't, and Stu is correct, it doesn't exist anywhere else in the country, you know. So, you know, for us, I also think what Wes said is like, we built this here to grow amazing grapes on the hill, to make great wine, but we did it to bring our friends and family and people that we don't even know yet to the property and let them like experience this amazing piece of the earth. And yeah, that's the tough spot.
Sheldon, could you tell me what varietals you're growing up here, just so our audience gets an idea?
Syrah, Cab Franc, Cab Sauvignon, and Merlot.
Stu?
Chardonnay, Riesling for whites, and then Cabernet, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, and Merlot for reds.
As if I couldn't say that myself. Like
Cabernet and Cab Franc.
Chardonnay, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot.
Great. So very typical Bordeaux varietals, that kind of thing, which is fun. Wes, for our listeners who'd like to come here and taste, is it by appointment? Can they just come on up? How does that work?
Yeah, all of our tastings are by appointment. Our philosophy that we've had from day one is it's one group at a time. I said to my team when we started our program, I never want to be put in a position of scheduling our tastings that you're having to say hello and goodbye at the same time. So it's about a personal experience. It's your time while you're here.
Justin?
Construction on our winery is expected, hopeful, other adjectives, to be completed sometime in June, and will be by appointment only shortly thereafter.
Stu?
Tastings, yeah, we're by tours and tastings by appointment only.
Same. Tastings by appointment.
Great. Well, it's important to come up on the mountain because it's just too damn cool up here in terms of temperature, as well as just such a fun place to come. I would like everybody just go down the line and give me your website so our listeners can check you out.
PalomaVineyard.com.
Smith-Madrone.com.
Aadland-Moody.com.
Vineyard7and8.com. The numbers are numbers and is spelled out.
Very easy.
Come visit us.
Gentlemen, I really, really appreciate you taking the time. This was a lot of fun. I could have gone for like 7 more hours, but you probably all killed me.
7 or 8?
7 or 8. I'm sorry.
At least you're not 6, 7.
I might sell a lot of wine these days.
I know.
Well, it's funny too. I heard that In-N-Out Burger is no longer calling 67 and 69. Really? Give me a break. Gentlemen, thank you all very much for being here. And again, thanks to Julie Ann for setting this up. I hope you guys continue your success. And Sheldon, I wish you the best, both you and Stu, going through what you're going with the county. I wish you the best, really.
Thank you.
Amen to that.
Yep.